Welcome to the Retronauts Live PAX East panel for 2013. The last Retronauts thing ever. So, all these people here, it's almost as if I shouldn't have gotten fired. But this is our generation's moon landing, by the way. So, as always, I'm Bob Mackey, and today's topic is retro games we want to love. I want to take a look at retro games that I guess they have merit historically, but maybe they're not so much fun to play. And then later in the panel, you're going to come up and tell us your retro game that you want to love. Maybe it's not so much, not the greatest game in the world, and we'll criticize you. And you can feel free to criticize us based on our choices, because I'm sure you will. And I'm sure some of you will even walk out when you hear what games we don't like. So as always, I'm Bob Mackey. I'm unemployed. You all know me. Who else do we have here?
I'm Marty Sliva, formerly of OneUp, now an associate editor at IGN.com.
I'm John D'Elia, and along with my buddy Lance Cortez, one of the founders of Retroware TV.com.
I'm Joey DeSena. I do online videos, 16-bit gems, the way games work, and I also work with John at Retroware TV.
And if you guys don't know Retroware and you're fans of Retronauts, they're awesome. So go to their website, check out their videos, they're great. So I guess we get started now. I want to start with my game because I'm sure it's going to cause a lot of controversy. Maybe some of you will hate me after this, but the game I chose for this panel is going to be Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And like I said, you'll have a chance to yell at me about this later. And I wrote a lot of notes, so please forgive me if I go on forever. And I want you guys to interrupt me because I'm going to probably go off on a rant here. So I guess my biggest problem with the game is it is going to be the one Zelda game I'll never finish. And that, I mean, I'm not counting the CDI games, those don't exist. They're not part of our reality. Okay, that's my overlying problem with the game. I will never finish it. And here are the reasons why. Okay, and before we go into this, I want to say that we're not trying to be mean-spirited. We all recognize that these games are the product of a time where people were just figuring shit out. And most of our games are products of figuring shit out, and Zelda 2 is a huge example of that. So with Zelda 2, we have an action RPG hybrid. But there are some weird, sort of holdovers from both the genres that don't make a lot of sense. And my biggest problem with Zelda, and maybe you guys will agree with me, is the fact that there are lives in this game.
Yeah.
And I understand the concept of lives in an action game, and I understand they have a purpose in other games, but in Zelda 2, when you die, and I'm sure 90% of people in this audience know this, when you die in Zelda 2, when you lose all of your lives, you go back to square one. Not the entrance of the dungeon, not the entrance of the first, the last exit you came out of. You go back to the very first, part of the game you started at. And so a lot of Zelda is basically retracing your steps until you get everything right. That's my major problem with the game. I don't know, does anyone want to, jump in and slap me around or tell me why I'm wrong?
It begins and ends with a tiny, tiny sword.
Yes. Link may have grown up, but his sword is still very, very tiny. I don't know why he never looked into that. So, again, it's an action game, it's an RPG, it's a mix of these two, but they don't really work well together. My other problem with this game is, it has an experience system, which is great. If you're not great at the game, why not grind, and then you'll overcome things just through putting in time into the game. But with Zelda 2, there's this weird, they didn't feel like balancing the game at all, so they're like, okay guys, get this. Some enemies won't give you experience points, but it'll be completely arbitrary. So, an enemy that's actually difficult that you fight on the world map, it might not give you experience points, so there's not even a point in fighting it. So that's my other problem in the game, that grinding, you can grind if you want to, but they make it very, very difficult. And I think that was their way of balancing it, but I mean, it was kind of just like a half-assed sort of way. And like I said, you're free to criticize me on this when you come up and tell me your game that you hate. Oh, and you also lose all of your experience points when you die, which is awful. And apparently in the Japanese version it's much worse. I don't know the specifics, but apparently it drops all of your levels down to the lowest level. Maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but you level up 3 different categories in the game, and it's like magic, life, and attack. And I believe when you die, lose all your lives, all of your levels go down to your lowest leveled category. Is that correct?
If you level up 2, you're to 5, and 1 to 8. When you die, that 1 to 8 goes down to 5.
Okay, so this probably wasn't picked up by the mics, but I thought I would just confirm myself in the audience, and I'm going to assume he's not a filthy liar. He looks honest to me. I've gone on for a long time, so I'm going to wrap this
Jump in
up.
super quick.
Oh, please do, Marty. I feel like I'm
Show of
on.
hands, how many people have beat Zelda 2 in this audience? Holy
Oh my, get out. Wait, keep your hands up. With a game genie. Okay, those are the honest people.
I don't know if you remember, I remember as a kid, the Nintendo NES poster, back in 87, 88, it would always have the Zelda 2 game on there as if it were available.
Yeah.
You had to wait an extraordinary
All right.
amount of time for it to come out, and that was, I hate the game to this day.
What I find interesting about your pick here is that I think when the game came out, there was a lot of backlash toward it because it was not Legend of Zelda, or not the original Legend of Zelda. It wasn't like it. And then after a lot of time passed, people look back and say, oh, you know, it's actually a pretty good game. So you have like a backlash to the backlash kind of going on here.
I think that's going to be a theme today.
Yeah, with all of our games, there's like just a constant cycle of we hate it, we love it, we hate it, we love it, we can't figure it out.
Yeah.
My last point I guess I want to make is the fact that the ultimate bad thing in this game, in my opinion, are a certain enemy called Iron Knuckles. And everyone in this audience is groaning and just like, I don't know, they look pretty painful, like they're in pain right now. And they should be because I don't know who decided this, but within 15 minutes of the game, you fight the hardest enemy you'll ever fight. And you'll fight the same enemy about 500 times throughout the course of the game. That enemy should have been in the last dungeon. That enemy should have been a boss. That enemy should not be a thing you fight over and over again throughout the entire game. It takes a long time to fight these guys because they, I don't know, it's like they came out of like a different universe or a different like technology because it's like, how do these 8-bit enemies know so many moves? It was so strange at the time. So I guess in closing, I do want to talk about this a little more if you guys have any more points, but like, to me, the philosophy of Zelda 1 was a very welcoming and open, like, hey, welcome to our fun little world, poke around, see what you can figure out on your own, we're not going to immediately crush your spirit. And Zelda 2 is like, do it until you get it right, or we're not going to let you go any further. So that's basically why I hate Zelda 2. And I want to be fair, and part of our discussion is going to be like, how would we fix this game? Like, I honestly believe this game is one ROM hack away from being a really awesome game. And I'm sure someone has done it, I'm just ignorant to the fact. But if they just tweaked a few things, maybe fix the experience system, obviously maybe if you can get rid of lives, make the checkpoints a little nicer. Zelda 2 could be up there with, Zelda 1 and A Link to the Past as like a really playable game. And I respect what it does, and like I said, these are all a process of people just trying to figure things out, and I can see what happened in Zelda 2. Unfortunately, they did not get it right, and that is my little story about Zelda 2.
Can we at least agree that it's better than the Skyward Sword?
I don't know how to react. I'm going to say it is better than Skyward Sword. I guess half of the crowd's going to tear me apart after this. So, John, did you have something to add? Sorry.
Oh no, I just like the theme of booze and yay simultaneously.
Yeah, I can't with this crowd, they're out of control. Who wants to go next? I think I've said enough about Zelda 2.
I can hop aboard.
Yes, Marty.
Mine kind of, Bob and I came to our decisions separately, but, in hindsight, we kind of went from the same thought, and mine is Castlevania 2. Okay, so part of this, just hear me out. Part of this was just the time and place I first played this game. I think I'm the youngest guy on here, and so I was born in '87, and I think I played the game probably in 1990, like right when I started, playing NES. I was playing Mario, and Mario 3, and even Castlevania 1. And then this game came along, and it was just cruel to me.
Marty, I think you were being made at the same time as Castlevania 2.
I think I was.
I didn't let that be gross, I'm sorry.
I think Igarashi is also my father. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the game is just so overly opaque, and a lot of this is because it's just a bastardized localization, which is just notorious. It's like an example of how not to translate a game. But I really do believe this game is unbeatable without a guide. And I don't know if there's anyone in here who realized that you had to crouch at that specific point, but I honestly cannot fathom how a single human being...
We should do another show of hands about this.
Anyone?
Who beat Castlevania 2 legitimately?
Without a
And
guide.
why were you not enlisted by the government for some crazy program?
I was the wizard not made about you.
I mean, there were hints. There were hints throughout the game.
But they were terrible.
They were
Come
terrible.
on.
They were terrible.
No, granted, they were terrible hints, but...
And the part that kind of, hurts the most about this is one of my biggest complaints with games nowadays are that sequels play it way too safe. And then, like, every year you get, an Assassin's Creed that feels exactly like the last Assassin's Creed. Whereas, this was a time, Zelda 2, Mario 2, Castlevania 2, these guys, they had a something amazing on their hands and they tried to do something different. And, in those three examples, I don't think anyone thinks any of them are as good as the games that preceded or followed them. But, you know, it's just, to me, it's such an unplayable game. And even to this day, and I don't know if it's just, you know, I'm marked by the fact that I was traumatized by this as a child. The other thing that really hurts is everything that Bob was saying about Zelda 2, I kind of feel about Castlevania, but both Bob and I think our favorite game in the last like 5 years is Dark Souls. And so the fact that, and these games feel like what Bob was saying, throwing like a vicious enemy at you in the first 15 minutes and having to, you know, learn the mechanics and learn your, like, just will your way through the game. That's kind of what Dark Souls does. I'm not 100% sure why Bob and I are perfectly fine with FromSoft does it.
Well, I mean, at least Dark Souls lets you get your experience points back.
This is
right?
true, yeah.
I think you're mostly scarred as children.
Yes, that's is that what, if there's like a 4 or 5-year-old playing Dark Souls, right, that'd be weird.
Yeah.
First off, but if that,
That's like a weird wire mother experiment.
Yes.
You know, Castlevania 2, I was 8 years old when Castlevania 2 came out, and it was in this weird time of, yeah, I'm old. It was this weird time of the sequels, like we were saying, Zelda 2, Super Mario Brothers 2, Castlevania 2. They deviated so extremely from their original games, and it was such an early time period of the 8-bit area that we as kids thought that this was how things worked with sequels. Like they were just going to be completely different than what they were before. So we inadvertently just loved these games because of it. But I mean, I'm a big Castlevania 2 fan just because I think without Castlevania 2, like Symphony of the Night couldn't really take place. It was a natural progression, I thought, because it's the open-ended, you know, Metroidvania world to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, I take some issue with Bob's pick because I think Zelda 2, yeah, it's a super darn hard game, but ultimately playable. You can beat it. It's just technically hard.
This is where the Metroid was.
But Marty's right.
That's why we're split down the middle.
I honestly don't know, because the people really do lie to you in this game and make no sense. You know, you need a stronger whip if you have the flame whip, and no, that's a lie. And you don't know how to progress in the game unless you know to kneel this one spot, which no one really tells you.
Which crystal to point
With a
to.
crystal,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. You cannot. I still maintain you cannot play this game. You can't
Or when you go
finish
into
it without
you go into
spelling
the
it.
mansions and then there's no bad guy.
Yeah.
There's no boss at the end. Why would
Well,
that is
I mean, the graveyard duck is pulling all the strings, right? He's behind everything.
it'd be incredibly easy to beat Dracula at the end.
Yeah. And part of it too is just the fact that I love, you know, Castlevania 1 and 3 and Super Castlevania and Symphony of the Night so much that this is just kind of the, I don't know, the odd one out.
What would make it playable for you, Marty? Like I suggested, like a ROM hack. I'm sure the same could be done in Castlevania 2. Like, what would you change?
If every copy came with a Jeremy Parish that played along.
You just add water and then you just bury him when you're done.
Yes.
That's a creepy. We're not cloning Jeremy or anything, don't worry.
There is a repro hack where they fix all the translation.
Oh, really?
Go back and get it. They fix it all, and it's actually incredibly more playable.
Okay, yeah, someone in the audience just said that they fixed the translation, so I guess maybe that would make it a little better for us. But I've heard that the townspeople still lie like bastards no matter what. Yeah. So
If you could speed up the transition into night, like
That was
that would be.
That's part of it.
They do.
Oh,
really?
That's
Wow.
fantastic. That's awesome. Or being able to not accidentally skip over some really important dialogue at one point in the game, like when you read a book and then you hit the button and it goes away and you don't know what it's in.
I love the fact that it was like a side tangent, but that video games are like the only medium where just the enthusiasts can fix broken things. No one is fixing broken albums or broken movies or broken TV shows.
well, I mean, someone re-edited episode 1 of Star Wars, but
There's
it's still pretty
nothing wrong
bad.
with episode.
It's just a pod race. It's actually just the N64 pod race game.